Welcome back, and thank you for once again joining us for one of Mike and Billy's whiskey reviews. This is Billy.
That's Mike.
And today we have the Lagavulin 16-year-old, 43% ABV. I'm going to pour this ahead of time just because this whiskey needs a little bit of time to open up. But
just give me a little bit.
Lagavulin is one we've been waiting to bring you because Billy and I, it was one of our first loves of whiskey. And if you like a smoky whiskey, you would love Lagavulin. To tell you a little bit about this.
I think it's both of our favorites.
Oh, absolutely. Lagavulin is my
16-year.
Oh, it's a staple in my bar.
Yes.
Lagavulin, I have never had a bad Lagavulin. Absolutely the entire range, which isn't a big range, only 3 whiskeys.
What was the 8-year we had? What was that?
That's a special edition, and we'll get to that. So this is the year 2016. Lagavulin got its distillery's license in 1816, so this is their 200th anniversary. This year they brought out an 8-year-old to mimic a previous whiskey that's not usually a standard release. We will also bring you that someday.
It's good.
Very good. If I have 2 of them, we'll absolutely bring them to you. The Lagavulin 16 is the core whiskey of their 3 whiskey range at Lagavulin. And Lagavulin, just to backtrack slightly, is an Islay whiskey. We brought you some Ardbegs. We'll also bring you some Lafroigs, also Islay whiskeys. That southern shore of Islay has the Lagavulin in the middle, and then on either side, Ardbeg and Lafroig.
As you know, we like the Islay.
Yeah, we love the peaty whiskey. Okay, so to talk a little bit more about Lagavulin's core range,
and your birthday is December,
which is a small range. It mainly consists of 3 whiskeys. It consists of the Lagavulin 16, which is the standard. Also the Lagavulin Distillers Edition, which is just matured in ex-sherry cask for 3 to 10 months for one to be able to read longer than the normal 16, and then the 12-year-old, which comes at a cask strength every year. But getting back to what we're reviewing today, Lagavulin 16, 43% ABV, Islay whiskey, staple of the single malt Scotch whiskey industry.
Yeah.
Billy, am I missing anything about Lagavulin? It's his 200th anniversary in 2016. They come out with specialty versions that we're going to bring you.
Other than they should send us free stuff.
We love you, Lagavulin, just so you know.
One of those pimp ass like hats that all the Scottish dudes wear. It says Lagavulin.
Awesome. Whatever. They send me a bracelet.
Just send us stuff. Yeah, just send us stuff.
So anyway, Lagavulin, it is 43% ABV.
Wait, is that Ireland or Scotland or what is it?
It's Scotland. It's an island called Islay on the west coast of Scotland.
Got it.
So Lagavulin is 43% ABV. It is chill filtered and it is artificially colored, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean it isn't a fantastic whiskey. So, let's get to it, Billy. The nose.
Do we want to show?
Oh, forgive us.
Even though it's artificially colored, maybe.
Even though it's artificially colored, it is a light caramel, a bronze-ish, bronze -1 maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Lagavulin also is something in some program also called the Classic Malts of Scotland. The whiskey making industry has 6 regions: Highlands, Lowlands, Islands, Islay, which is also an island, Speyside, which is the North Highlands, and the West Highlands, which is, I think they refer to as Cabletown. Each one of those 6 regions.
Why Cabletown?
I don't know.
They make cable there?
I don't know. I got to research that for next time.
Yeah.
But each region back in 1988 was designated one whiskey that best exemplified the region of Scotland. And for the Islay, the island of Islay, which is its own region, this Lagavulin 16 was the one that was chosen. It's also the flagship of the Classic Malts of Scotland. Basically what we're saying is it's a great whiskey. I know I probably shouldn't say that before I've actually tasted it, but it's a great whiskey.
We know. We've drank it before.
We're very familiar with this whiskey. This whiskey retails for roughly $93 American here in the United States in Q4 of 2016. For $100 range, currently now in the United States, you can get a lot of very good whiskeys. Glenfiddich 18, Glenmorangie 18, Glenfarclas 17, so a couple of good ones. But this one here, the Lagavulin 16, is in that $93 range. Excellent whiskey, one of my favorites. Let's get to the nose. Smoke right off the bat.
Smoke.
Super smoky.
I get some citrus there, but I don't know what citrus.
There's a sweetness to this Lagavulin. Now, Lagavulin, as opposed to many of the other standard releases from the Isle of Islay, comes a little bit older. It's 16 years old, where some of the standard versions of other ones like the Ardbeg or Lafroig, we're looking at 10-year-olds. So this is a little bit further along, and they really specialize in the sherry maturation to combine that with the peat, which was really, in my opinion, the stroke of genius and the gold behind what is Lagavulin. Even when the peated and smoky whiskey industry was down in the 80s and 90s, and places like Ardbeg and other places completely closed down, Lagavulin, why reduced to basically 2 days producing a week, still was one that kept producing all the way through. Lagavulin,
They didn't give up.
because it's a great product.
They were the little engine that could.
Yeah, it's smoky, but it's a soft, sweet smoke. It's not overpowering
It's not
like
like
with
that.
Lefroy and
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's refined, if refined smoke is the word.
mellow. It's mellow. It's
The dark fruit and the sweetness is so
It's good.
evident. A little bit of iodine.
Oh yeah.
Let's go with the taste.
Do it.
It's like a campfire in your mouth. It's like a smoldering campfire in your mouth. Not too aggressive,
I get some leather.
but the age of the whiskeys really comes out to me in the taste, as opposed to a younger Islay
It's
whiskey.
mature. It's
It's mature.
Yeah.
It leaves room for the other flavors, and what I'm getting mainly is sweet, dark fruits, maybe a little oak.
I
It's
get,
oaky,
I get some leather, like that new leather smell.
and almost a peachy aftertaste.
There's something real sweet there at the end. And it is.
It's some type of fruit. It's some type of fruit in the linger afterwards. It's a good medium finish. You know, Lagavulin.
It's dry too. It's dry. The mouth is.
If you're watching our whiskey reviews, I imagine you have more than 1 or 2 whiskeys on your bar. I would guess. Lagavulin is probably a whiskey that's well known to you. So you probably have had this whiskey or know somebody that's had this whiskey. But the Lagavulin 16 is one that, even though it was one of the first scotches I really truly loved, it's something I always come back to because it gives you a little bit of everything if you like a smoky whiskey. It's smoky. I'm not saying it's not smoky. It is smoky, but of the Ardbegs, Lefroigs, the heavily smoky whiskeys of the South Islay, it is the least smoky because I believe of the sherry maturation and the age of it being 16 years old. Now,
My mouth is dry as a bone. It's like a nice dry red wine.
you know, it's like a Highland Park in that way. It is drying. Maybe not quite as
Not as much.
drying as Highland
Yeah.
Park, but
Yeah.
it does give a drying,
It doesn't last very long, but there's a dryness there for sure.
and then it's savory.
Yes.
And then it's really savory after
Yes.
that dryness.
Yeah, it's good. It's just good, people.
You know, Lagavulin will be popular, and even if you're not a whiskey couch drinker, if you ever watch Parks and Rec,
yeah.
the main guy, who's the boss in Parks and Rec?
Ron Swanson?
Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of Lagavulin, and they've made 3 or 4 episodes about him being a big fan of Lagavulin. If you're ever watching that show, it's in there. If you ever watched that show, the movie 28 Days Later, when they raid the...
Have you ever read his book, Paddle Your Own Canoe?
Who's?
Ron. What's his name in real life?
He's a comedian, I'm not sure.
He brought that to the show. Like he's
a huge fan of Lagavulin.
Yeah, he truly is.
He's a huge fan of Lagavulin.
Yeah.
Not only that, in the movie 28 Days Later, when they're raiding the grocery store, there's a scene where the older man walks up to the younger man who's stealing just whatever whiskey or whatever liquor that comes towards him, and he says, "Hey, you can't just grab anything, young man." A teaching moment. This is what you grab. 16 years old, aged, you know what I mean?
Nice.
And I remember him saying that. So Lagavulin has made its appearances in shows and movies and things like that because it's a very popular, very dependable whiskey.
And just solid.
Solid all the way through. Billy and I love this whiskey. Used it as a tip one time for one of my tattoo finishings, I believe.
That happened.
Thank you, sir. But let us give you one more drink. Now we put some water in. Let's get in the finish. Let me nose it one more time so
A
I
little
put water.
sweeter now. Definitely a little sweeter.
And fruitier.
Oh,
I feel like a fig or a date's in there.
I can see that.
I haven't had Lagavulin 16 in a while. I've had some other. I've been drinking with on the 8, the 12, and a few other things.
I just love everything about it.
Every time I come back to this, it's a beautiful whiskey.
You know, it's like when your girlfriend's like, "Why do you love me?" How many like
Because you bought me Lagavulin?
the BJ doesn't. You can't really you can't put it into. It's just so solid every time.
It's like it's cool, and it's the fall in Columbus, Ohio, and the leaves are falling, and you're at Buckeye Lake, and there's a fire going and it's dark outside and you're having a drink and it's the campfire and it's the cool, crisp air environment. God, I love it.
The little tingle on the back of the roof of the mouth.
Good, strong, medium finish, smoky. A little bit of tobacco, cigar ash comes in at the end.
Definitely.
I tell you what, this to me, even though it's one of my favorites, I got to be honest, just because I've had many whiskeys, I'm gonna rate this as my gold standard for what a 90 out of 100 is in a whiskey.
Wow.
The Lagavulin 16 has a little bit of everything. It's a smoky whiskey, and that's the pillar. That's its cornerstone.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's sweet. It's
just
soft.
There's just something amazing about it.
It's lovely.
And I like to, and I know I'm gonna probably get some slack out of this. I like to have mine just a slight chill.
Oh, for sure.
So I use the rocks, and I'll get just a slight chill on my whiskey at home.
Being this a chill filtered whiskey, I don't know if you want to put in an ice or something. That's not what I do personally. But if you want to put an ice or something, being this chill filtered, I don't know if it's going to affect and close down the nose and taste that much. One thing I will say with Lagavulin, give it some time to open up. It's like a snake that takes a while to uncoil.
Yeah.
So give it a minute to open up the glass. It's condensed.
I like to pour mine, go do something, and then come back to it.
Amen to that shit.
And that's why I use the rocks, because I don't want to water it down at all.
Agreed. So I'm at a 90 out of 100, Billy, for you.
I'm right there with you.
90 out of 100.
Yeah.
Great whiskey. If you're a fan of single malt Scotch whiskeys, if you're a fan of smoky whiskeys, absolutely, or Islay whiskeys, this is an absolute must-have.
Yeah.
And with that, we thank you for joining us for another one of Mike and Billy's whiskey reviews. Thank you so much for inviting us into your home and listen to our opinion. We hope you try this whiskey.
And if you don't like our opinion, don't tell us, because we don't really.
If you don't like it, that's fine. Everyone's got their own opinion. But I tell you what, if you like Lagavulin, we'd love to hear what you think of our whiskey review. And if we missed a smell or a scent or a taste, let us know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's different for everybody. Gets something different.
That's the beauty of it. So
enjoy.
So until then, from Mike and Billy, happy drinking.
Yes, America.